"I could die tomorrow. You could. Anybody can." Those words reflect the place John Travolta now occupies in life, a space shaped less by ambition and more by perspective. By his early 70s, Travolta was no longer measuring success by box office numbers or public visibility. After decades in the spotlight, something shifted. Loss has a way of changing the lens through which everything is viewed. Instead of dramatic exits or public declarations, his choices became quieter, more deliberate. He stopped chasing momentum and began prioritizing meaning. To some observers, it looked like withdrawal. To those close to him, it looked like clarity. This wasn't about walking away from life or career, but about redefining how much energy to give and where. Travolta's recent years have been marked by reflection rather than retreat, by intention rather than obligation. When someone who has lived so loudly chooses stillness, it speaks volumes about what they've carried and what they're finally ready to set down. A childhood shaped by music and insecurity, John Joseph Travolta was born on February 18, 1954, in Englewood, New Jersey, the youngest of 6 children in a modest household. His father, Salvatore, worked tirelessly, running a small tire business, while his mother, Helen, brought creativity into the home through music and performance. Yet outside that home, life was not always kind. School was difficult. John was shy, slight in build, and struggled with a speech impediment that made him a target for teasing. Those early years left marks, shaping both his sensitivity and resilience. At home, however, everything changed. He found freedom in performance, staging little skits, singing and dancing for his siblings. His mother noticed not just talent, but comfort when he performed. She encouraged him toward theater, recognizing that the stage gave him confidence the world outside did not. That contrast between insecurity and expression would follow him throughout his life. Discovering belonging on the stage. At 12 years old, Travolta stepped onto a community theater stage for the first time, appearing in a small local production. It wasn't the size of the role that mattered, but the feeling it gave him. He improvised small moments, added humor, and felt the audience respond. For the first time, he experienced a sense of belonging that had been missing elsewhere. That reaction stayed with him. Performance wasn't about attention, it was about connection. As his confidence grew, so did his commitment. By his mid-teens, he knew traditional paths were not for him. At 16, he made the bold decision to leave home and move to New York City. With limited money and no guarantees, he took whatever work he could find, washing dishes and sleeping in shared housing. By day, he auditioned. By night, he studied dance and acting. The city was unforgiving, but it taught him discipline, patience, and survival long before fame ever arrived. Television opens the door to stardom. Years of quiet effort finally paid off in 1975 when Travolta landed the role of Vinnie Barbarino on Welcome Back, Kotter. What began as a supporting part quickly became the heart of the show. His performance felt natural, relaxed, and authentic, and audiences connected instantly. Suddenly, he was everywhere. Yet Travolta understood the danger of comfort. Television fame could easily become a ceiling rather than a foundation. While the show succeeded, he continued training, seeking roles that would challenge him beyond comedy. In 1976, The Boy in the Plastic Bubble gave him that opportunity, allowing him to show emotional depth and vulnerability. Critics noticed he was no longer just a sitcom presence. He was becoming a serious actor. Then came 1977, and with it, a film that would transform not just his career, but popular culture itself. Becoming a cultural icon overnight, Saturday Night Fever changed everything. Travolta's Tony Manero was magnetic, restless, and deeply human. His dancing was precise, but it was the vulnerability beneath the swagger that resonated most. Audiences around the world responded instantly. At just 23, Travolta earned an Academy Award nomination and became a defining face of the era. Fashion, music, and movement all shifted with the film's success. A year later, Grease solidified his status. Danny Zuko was charming, confident, and iconic in a completely different way. Two massive successes, two cultural identities back to back. Yet fame arrived without pause. There was no time to breathe, no room to fail quietly. Expectations became relentless. Travolta was no longer just an actor. He was a symbol. And symbols, Hollywood would soon remind him, are fragile things once trends begin to change. When the spotlight begins to fade. The early 1980s marked a difficult transition. Films that followed his peak did not meet expectations, and public perception shifted quickly. Projects like Staying Alive and Two of a Kind struggled to connect, and suddenly the industry that once celebrated him grew cautious. Travolta continued working, but momentum slowed. Missed opportunities weighed heavily, including roles that went on to define other actors' careers. The industry's tastes were changing, favoring different kinds of heroes. What had once made him unique now worked against him. Still, he did not disappear. He stayed present, took smaller projects, and waited. This period is often labeled as failure, but it was also endurance. Away from the constant noise of success, Travolta was learning patience. He was discovering that survival in Hollywood required more than talent. It required the willingness to remain standing when applause fades. The comeback that rewrote the story. In 1994, a single decision reshaped everything. Quentin Tarantino cast Travolta in Pulp Fiction, seeing value where others saw risk. The role of Vincent Vega demanded restraint, humor, and vulnerability. Travolta delivered all three without ego. The result was immediate and powerful. Critics praised him. Audiences rediscovered him. He earned another Academy Award nomination, nearly 2 decades after his first. The comeback felt authentic because it was unforced. Films like Get Shorty and Face Slash Off followed, showcasing range and confidence. He was no longer chasing stardom. He was choosing roles that interested him. Financial success returned, but so did control. For the first time, his career felt balanced. He had survived collapse and resurrection. What lay ahead, however, would challenge him in ways no professional setback ever could. Love, loss, and life beyond fame. Travolta's personal life carried its own profound joys and sorrows. His early love, actress Diana Hyland, passed away in 1977 after a battle with cancer, leaving a lasting emotional imprint. Years later, he found enduring partnership with Kelly Preston. Together, they built a family and a life away from constant spotlight. Their children became the center of everything. In 2009, tragedy struck when their son Jett passed away during a family vacation. The loss was devastating, reshaping priorities overnight. Then, in 2020, Kelly Preston died after a private battle with illness. Grief arrived again, deeper and quieter. These moments changed Travolta fundamentally. Career ambition no longer held the same weight. Survival became about presence, stability, and love. The man once defined by motion learned the value of stillness, choosing family and healing over public visibility, choosing a quieter chapter. Following these losses, Travolta stepped back intentionally. He did not announce retirement, nor did he disappear entirely. Instead, he simplified. He focused on being present for his children, supporting their growth away from chaos. He continued flying, teaching, and engaging in projects only when they felt meaningful. Fame was no longer a pursuit, it was a memory. By his early 70s, his life reflected choice rather than demand. He worked less, spoke less, and lived more deliberately. Hollywood often celebrates constant reinvention, but Travolta chose something rarer: contentment without explanation. His legacy no longer needed reinforcement. It already existed. What remains is a life that moved from insecurity to superstardom, collapse to comeback, and finally to quiet intention. Not an ending, but a slowing, and sometimes that is the bravest choice of all.